Hey guys, thank you for coming and checking out the interviews that we are doing with many different guests all over the place. We talk about multiple things with them because the Fairy Tale podcast is expanding out to more than just Fairy Tale, and we're very happy about that. But guys, I want to take this moment to tell you about our Patreon, which is patreon.com/fairytalepodcast. Now, if you're listening to this interview on either our YouTube or our SoundCloud channels, I want to let you know that you're actually getting them a week late because they go up immediately onto our Patreon and then we release them publicly a week later. So if you'd like to get to all the goodies and extra content that we're putting out there, make sure to become a patron, and it's just really easy to do. We don't ask for like exorbitant amounts of money. It's just something that goes into helping to support the podcast itself so that we can continue running and expanding. We just recently lost our website host, and we're working on trying to get that back, but we can definitely use your help to do that. And we're trying to expand back out to getting back onto iTunes and to taking that money and helping people get to more cons so that they can actually interview more amazing guests for you guys, and we can expand our reach and actually talk with even more and more people that we're fans of ourselves, that we know that others are too, so that you can come and check those out. And perhaps we can up our mic quality. For all of our AWA interviews, I want to say that the way that we had to do everything, the room that we were in, we had a lot of background noise from the AC unit. The audio quality may not be the best for Walker, who was our interviewer for AWA, but the majority of the stuff that was recorded, he's going to sound a little weird because the mic was facing away from him, because we want to emphasize the person that we're interviewing, our guest that we're interviewing, should take the priority as far as the sound and audio quality. So you'll hear them a lot more clearly than you will Walker, but once again, there was an AC unit and we were trying to kill the background noise for that, and it made the audio sound a little weaker from his end, but we did boost it up so you could hopefully hear him clearly. Things like that can be fixed if we get better equipment, and that's another reason why we have the Patreon set up. And guys, you can just drop $1, $5, $10, whatever. We understand. If you're a broke anime fan like we are, a little bit is fine.
All right, this is Walker again with the Fairy Tale Podcast. Last interview of the day with Keith Silverstein, which the role, I guess not more recently, but the role that's gained as much popularity as it has would be Torbjorn with Overwatch.
Oh yes, I'm familiar with that character. Yes.
Granted, I also spent like 30 minutes reading over your resume, and I still wasn't done. So you've done a lot of work, like a crazy amount of work.
I try to keep busy as much as possible. I mean, that's what you aim for, I guess.
But yeah, you've just, if memory from this thing serves correct, you voiced Saber in
Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
Yep. Sure did. I don't know what was in your mind. I mean, I could name some, but I don't know that'd be the ones you're thinking of. So, was it newer stuff like Persona 5? You got Shido.
Yeah, okay.
Masayoshi Shido. That was a fairly recent one. Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter, which is airing now.
That was the one I was thinking of.
That's the one. Oh, I got it in like 2 or 3. That's good. All right, cool.
Yeah, that was the one I was thinking of because I watched Hunter x Hunter, the Japanese dub, like the minute it hit Netflix.
Right.
And then once I heard there was a Funimation dub, I immediately jumped on that and started listening to it. And
Although I don't believe it's Funimation. I think isn't it Viz Media? I'm pretty sure it's Viz Media.
Whichever one it is that I don't remember.
I think it's Viz, but Funimation doesn't do as much in LA.
Yeah.
I got to work with go down to Dallas and work with Funimation for the One Piece film Gold, which is a fantastic experience. So I did get to work with them. And every once in a while, there's something that is a Funimation project that is done out in LA. That happens every now and then. But I believe that's Viz Media for
I think you're right. I'm just a little scattered.
That's all right. And when I get scatterbrained, you'll save me. You'll be like, wait, I think it's, and I'll go, oh, thank you. You're right, yeah.
But yeah, you voiced Hisoka, which is one of the I guess he's not really, no, he's not. One of the better done antagonists is the word I'll choose. Sure. Villain is too strong a word for what he...
Yeah, I'm not sure yet because he's been put in the category by a lot of people as villain, so I'm assuming that he's villainous in some ways. I only know up to what I've recorded so far, and he definitely has some villainous attributes, but at the same time, he hasn't affected the plot as of yet in a villainous way. if that makes sense. He's a part of the plot. He's very interesting. But all his killing and his like villainous deeds have been like side characters that don't necessarily move the plot along so much. So it's kind of like this suspenseful, oh, there's going to be a battle at some point, but you don't know where. So, and no spoilers for me because I don't know. You've seen the whole thing. I haven't yet. So
seen the whole thing and currently am trying to catch up on the manga.
Nice. Cool.
He was one of my more favorite characters because he just had this very, I mean, as you said, he hasn't affected the plot yet, but he has a very dynamic way of doing things.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And is more or less a very...
I can tell you what I think.
Flamboyant character.
He is. And they told me he was kind of effeminate when I first was auditioning for the role, but they said that he was effeminate, but he was also deep-voiced. Because a lot of times when you go to effeminate, you have a flighty musical way of speaking, but you also would go up much higher, which is good they said that because I knew to steer away from that. And I think they told me he was somewhat of a badass, and he had a lot of confidence, and there was definitely a sexual nature to him. And I think a lot of the fans were worried, like the English dub, they were going to try to smooth over that, you know what I mean, and not embrace that, which I'm so glad they didn't, because to me it's like, it's the backbone of the character. It really is. Hisoka loves fights and fighting, like literally the way a sex addict like loves sex. I mean, literally the same way. He gets off on fighting. Yeah. And it's not like something he'll wait for a really good fight. He'll put in his time and he'll be very patient. And at the same time, every now and then he just needs a quickie. And if you're in his way, then when he goes bloodlust, you are in big trouble, from what I've seen so far. So I'm glad that they didn't. And they knew that this was a big, like the fans would have been furious if they tried to go, it's not that way. You know what I mean?
And in season 1, they definitely showcased that right towards the end of the Hunter exam with. Again, I don't know how far you guys recorded.
Oh, we're past there. Okay. Yes, but we're well past the. Okay. We're on like episode 70 something has aired so far. I think
that's not bad.
We're on Green Island.
Yeah, with I don't know. Like, I don't think he has a character name. I just keep calling him Chicken Man because he looks like a.
Oh, the bloodlust scene you're talking about.
Yeah, where the guy's just like walking around. He's just like, oh hey, this guy. Let's kill him.
Yeah, no, he just was in that zone, and for up to that point, that's the only time we see that where he just seems to where Hisoka just goes off by himself and does this weird meditative thing where he's kind of, rocking back and forth a little bit for an extended period of time. And then he just is like, that's it. And he has that scream, that wicked scream, and he just takes this guy out like nothing. And that's the only thing I can, that's like his quickie, his like bloodlust. Like, all right, I've been patient with others, but right now, whoever crosses my path, I need it now, which is really freaky. You're like, because once you know he has that in him, it scares you. And so every time he's on screen from there forward, you're like, oh, crap. Like, we don't know where he's going to be. And what if that happens again? And,
So, and also with, so we talked about careers. And a lot of mostly the one anime role that I enjoyed way too much. I felt like if I talked about Overwatch the whole time, that would just be not too easy, but it would have just been too centrally focused on something that's just an aspect of your career.
Right. Well, Overwatch is huge right now, and people are really into it. But, for interviews, a lot of the truth is, I'm sure there are some questions that maybe could bring to light some info, but we don't, like a lot of the fans know more about the characters sometimes than we do, in the sense that, Blizzard has a ton of secrets that we don't know, all of us. Trust me, I don't know everything about Torbjorn at all. I have questions that I would love to ask Blizzard about the character. But the fans that are reading the comic books and watching all the shorts and like every bit of information that comes out everywhere, and even at some of the official panels, like a lot of people don't realize that we were at a panel, I think it was Anime Expo, and Michael Chu from Blizzard was there, and he gave us a chance to ask whatever questions we wanted. And I have more questions now, but at the time I asked... there was an image, I think it was in a comic, I'm not sure, where you saw Reinhardt and Torbjorn, and there were all these kids. It looked like a Christmas, like a wintertime thing, the fireplace is on and stuff. And so I was like, well, look, everybody's, I think, assumed that those are all Torbjorn's kids. Are those all Torbjorn's kids? And he said, no, they're actually all his grandchildren. And he said that was new, like that information had not been out. So there's always something more to know or to ask. And I mean, Blizzard has all the answers, obviously. But I don't know that much. So that's the funny thing is I don't know what I could spill anyway in terms of secrets. I just don't tell you what I recorded last, and I think we're fine, you know.
I think so long as I don't ask, oh, hey, so any sweet new projects you're working on behind the scenes, I'm pretty sure that would be
right.
a breach of contract. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, if there was something, I mean, it's not a terrible thing to ask because there are, every once in a while, there's a project that is like, you know what, you can talk about it. You can be pretty open about it. I mean, actually, Miraculous Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir has been pretty, Zag Heroes, they've been pretty open with it. I mean, their fans online, like they show all kinds of sketches and drawings like way ahead of time when a lot of other projects are like, nothing gets out until we're ready to, and they're always teasing stuff and they let us tease stuff. I mean, we don't overdo it with stuff we know we're not supposed to say. But every once in a while there is a project that they're like, yeah, no, go for it. Let people know.
So on the subject of projects, of course you do a lot of acting, but do you do any like writing or other types of work?
You know, I haven't for a while. I've been keeping pretty busy, but I really should. I used to write a lot of sketch comedy, and I write poetry, although it's been a little while since I've sat down to either. I have a great horror movie plot that I, every once in a while, put pen to paper and try to figure out a couple more. There's a couple of loopholes in the plot right now, and I'm still trying to iron those out. So, I mean, that's an every once in a while thing. You know, I play chords on the guitar and a little bit of piano, and if I can, every once in a while, I write music, not to be a musician, not to, do anything with it, but just to express myself, just because I had that creative side in me. So I'm not particularly good at it, but it's a nice outlet. Like all of those are nice outlets for me. So I do a little bit of that, but nothing that I'm even planning on doing anything with. I maybe one day a poetry book or something would be very cool, but we'll see.
So one of the things I've spoken with other voice actors and kind of gotten feedback from is, and that was one of them, is some of them write or read. Right. Then others find...
I read a lot of children's books because I have a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old at home. And so I don't actually do a lot of reading for pleasure. I used to be a big comic book guy back in the day. I still love the subject matter. I love all the cinematic universe films. But I read so much from work and then reading to my daughters that I generally, when I'm relaxing, I never get the chance to play video games. I'd rather play a video game or watch Game of Thrones or Walking Dead or, Netflix Daredevil or something.
Okay, I was like, you were like, Game of Thrones, I'm like, don't watch it. It's like, I'm like, don't watch it. It's like, Daredevil, I'm like, thank God.
I watched one. I watched that one. Yes, I need something to relax to, and I don't want to read all the time. I mean, reading is fantastic, trust me, and that would be the intelligent answer. I love to read, and this is who but I'm usually like, no, get that book away from me. That would make me sound very cool, but no. I'm like, where are my cartoons?
So you mentioned comic books, and you also mentioned Daredevil. What would you say your favorite comic book is?
I had 3 characters. They're all I was a Marvel guy. I don't have anything against the DC universe. I just never really dipped into it any deeper than watching Super Friends and stuff like that as a kid. And I see all those DC movies and stuff, the good ones. You know what I mean? I've seen a few of the bad ones too. But my 3 that are my favorite are Spider-Man, the Hulk, and Daredevil. And out of those 3, the one I collected more was, I still have a huge run of Daredevil. I got all the Frank Millers and all that stuff. But, it stopped well before he rebooted and started over. So, I mean, I've got a couple hundred books in a row, but I haven't been. And it's so daunting. I tried to pick up some of the new ones. I saw when they rebooted it and they were like at number 1 again, just fairly recently. And I was at a small Comic Con, and I asked the guy, like, yeah, how much is number 1? He's like, well, which cover? I'm like, well, wait, how many covers are there? He's like, 9? And I was like, okay, well, what's the average price? And they're like $7 each or something. And I was like, oh, I know. See, I was like, I can't do this because then I'm going to have to get every cover. I don't want the one I don't get to be the one that's worth money. And then I got to bag them. I got to board them. I got to store them. And I'm already spending too much money on Magic the Gathering. So I was like, done. Can't. Sorry. Thank you so much. Covers look cool. Have a nice day.
Yeah. I've had to cut down all of my pastimes to just like one thing, because it used to be that I would buy a lot of books. I would do a lot of reading, and I've had to stop doing that entirely because I don't read as much anymore, so I can't spend money on books.
Okay, sure. We don't want to spend money on something you're not doing. I buy a lot less Blu-rays now because I was buying them and not watching them. So I started to go like, okay, come on. Am I really going to watch this? Like, you know what I mean? And if the family's going to watch, if it's like a classic Harry Potter film, I'm like, yeah, of course, we're going to watch it over and over and over. The Disney classics, the Pixar, like, we're going to watch those. But there's a lot of things I'm like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll see it one more time, so I'm not going to buy it. Yeah. It'll come up.
The other thing was trading cards. I had to get rid of all those recently because I'm just like, because I had
what kind of trading cards?
Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic the Gathering.
You got rid of any more Magic cards you want to get rid of? Any good ones?
Not anymore.
I need a few more Power 9s. I'm not quite there yet. I need like 5 more, something like that. A few more Moxes.
No, I was more or less loaned a deck, and then my friend would help me pick out packs to buy.
Okay.
But I never really got into it,
right?
Because it was just something that the concept wasn't hard to grasp, but it just didn't float in my mind as well as it did.
A lot of people are really bad teachers too.
Yeah, that could have been.
And I don't know that your buddy wasn't. I don't want to insult your buddy, but he was a bad teacher. No, it's hard. It really is hard. I've watched people teach, and there's a way to do it where you teach people just a little bit at a time, and they absorb it, and then the whole thing makes sense. But a lot of people don't. They go, but then this, and what if that, and then if this happens, it's like, no, stop it. That's too much. Too much brain power. Stop it. Make it simple.
Yeah, no, I had to get rid of the Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Right. I hope you made some money off them. I hope something was worth something.
The Pokemon cards were at some point.
Yeah, they weren't when you got rid of them?
Apparently not. I was like, oh yeah, here's this ancient Mew card that only came out with the original Pokemon VHS. And they're like, this has like 2 wrinkles in it. So? And they're like,
it's got to be good, yeah.
Yeah, and they weren't.
Well, it depends where. Listen, I can't defend them. It depends who you sold them to. A lot of people will play that up and be like, "Oh, and like it could be worth $100," and be like, "Yeah, I can only give you 5 for this one," because they want a deal.
And then
I don't know.
Get it, and they're like, "All right, $200."
Exactly. So you got to know who you're selling it to. But I don't know my Pokemon cards very well, but I know some of those are very valuable. I had to pick one, and Magic was the first one, and I was with it. I loved it, so I stuck with it. Anytime a new card game came out, I was like, "No, I'm spending so much money. No point."
So, of course, you said you play video games in your free time. So, my question is, do you play Overwatch? And if so, do you actually main Torbjorn?
Main? Who mains their own? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I do. I admit it. Absolutely. I play Overwatch, and I always play Torbs. I play him on attack, and I play him on defense. It doesn't matter. I have tried some of the other ones. But here's the thing about Overwatch that's cool. Well, you know it. A lot of people know, but the characters in a nutshell are very different. It's not like some fighters where you just pick somebody up and it's slightly different, but you do the same combo, but it just does something different. They all have a very different feel and a very different way you run around. They have different speeds that they move at, different techniques, different strategies, different synergies with the other characters and who they're good against and not good against. So it's very different. I can't just go, I know how to play Torbjorn and then just pick up Soldier 76 or anybody else and be like, I'll just play the same way. It just doesn't work. Yeah. You have to kind of embody that character a little bit mentally and go, this is what this character needs to do and does well. So I play the others every once in a while, but I need to sit down. I know I have a buddy whose kid is really good. And I'm going to have his son sit with me for like an hour. I'm just going to just teach me everybody else. And then show me your best moves with Torb so that I can improve even better. Yeah, but I like Torb a lot.
I'll have to give Torbjorn a shot. I normally main McCree, so I'll just have to give it a shot. Figure out the play style.
Yeah, no, they're all good. That's for sure. That's one of the best things about that game is people will be like, I'm sorry, I'm not a Torb main, but it's like I'm going to be mad at you? You're playing the game. That's fantastic. That's great. That's good for me. It's good for Blizzard. And we're all this actors and characters. We're all part of the game. So
it pays for that next costume.
Nice. That next costume or that next Mox, that next magic card. That's a magic card for those who are semi-nerdy, but not nerdy enough to know when I say what a Mox is. It's a very expensive magic card.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.